So let's have a look at Electro Optical now. Basically what it is it's a TV. You can get black hot and white hot with forward-looking infrared, as well as just a normal TV feed. So this is generally used with the Maverick, which is an air-to-ground missile, and it uses electro-optical targeting methods. So you can have two ways of doing it, kind of. There's a point pixel lock that can track moving targets, but it requires line of sight. You can do an area track, which it does not move. You're still targeting the one spot, but you are targeting the ground. That actually sees through objects. So this little picture I've drawn is trying to show you. I don't know if you'll be able to understand, but I mean it is a fairly simple concept. It's just drawing it is a bit weird. So we can see that we've got an area lock with this bottom line that goes through a building. So the area lock calculates using position elevation data, and it will target a particular spot on the ground. So if you're flying in an aircraft like the A-10 and you move your targeting pod, your visual pod, onto a building, if you continue flying with the area lock on, you haven't swapped it to point, and you fly over the building, you'll notice that you weren't actually looking at the building at all. And that's the same with vehicles, trees, any of that stuff. It locks to a specific point on the ground, which can be handy for waypoints, working out what to do next, also putting your TGP in a good spot for use later. So the other method is the point and the pixel tracking method. Now on the right I've got a little mess there, but basically that's what it's locking onto, is a group of different colored pixels, the contrast between them, and it remembers that pattern and it focuses on that pattern, which means that it can track moving targets, because it'll pick up a pattern on a tank, truck, anything, even an aircraft. It'll pick up a pattern and it will continue to track the movement of that pattern. The downside to this being that as soon as you break line of sight, it'll lock onto what's in front. So as we can see, there's a convoy moving from towards us away. The point lock has worked, and that's worked all the way up until they've moved past the trees, at which point the trees are now your visual reference, and it will lock onto the trees. It's not smart. It won't see through the trees. It won't understand that the object is driving and it's still going. It will hit those trees, it'll stop. So that's the downside to that. If you're too low and you're following a convoy, as soon as something gets in front of it, including a building, anything else, it will block that, and you'll lose the lock. So this electro-optical, you'll get used to using it, because you do actually use it a lot in the A-10, and it is in the Maverick as well. So the targeting pod uses both the area and the point, whereas the Maverick pretty much, for release purposes, actually rifling, will only use the point track. Now you do have to sometimes manually force that lock through, but we'll go into that a little bit later. But this is basically how electro-optical works. These are the downsides, these are the benefits, and it's another method of targeting and deploying weapons. And also looking at the battlefield, especially at night, that forward-looking infrared is really good. Through clouds sometimes it works, depending on how thick the clouds are. It is a very, very useful tool. So we'll get into that a little bit later, and thanks for watching.